Hello everyone, how are we doing today? Hopefully we're all good. My name is Max, as it has been for the entire of kind of my time on YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a different stream. This stream is going to be solely dedicated to development, as I thought I would do a bit of development work on the stream. Saying as people in Discord wanted to see some anyway, and they were trying to develop some stuff themselves, although to no avail. Um, but anyway, so let me just announce that I'm live. Um, doing some C# development work. Come join me at https youtube.com/maxplayle/live. Cool. Okay, the thumbnail is very creative. So, just pop something in the chat if you can hear me all right. I don't know why the bitrate's so low, to be honest. There's not really a lot I can do about that, to be completely honest. Why is the bitrate so low? Not a clue. Interesting. Let's put a preset on that. Hopefully things get a bit better. Can I be seen? How well can I be seen? Hopefully you guys can hear me and stuff. Don't know what's going on. Flex, please don't put that in my chat. Thanks. Right, so I thought we'd do some development. Cool, you can hear me. That's good to know. Yeah, for no real reason other than, why not? It's quite a good little activity to do, I suppose. So, on the analytics, Artin. Hello, Artin. Hello, Lenny. I don't know where Brandon's at. Where's Brandon at? I do apologise if my bitrate is incredibly low. I've no idea why it is. But, yeah, anyway, okay. So, you're going to need Visual Studio. This isn't a tutorial on how to install Visual Studio. And quite honest with you, you should know how to install it. For goodness sake, YouTube's proper moaning at me. Oh, it's up to OBS what it wants to do. Oh, give me a sec. I think I know why. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to stop the stream and start it again. Hello? That should be a bit better. Yeah, whatever. Warning. Cool. Hey, but at least I get a connection if I do it that way. I suppose. Not a great one, but I really can't explain what's going on with the internet. Because I don't know myself, and I haven't checked it in ages, but whatever. Okay, so let's so I can see who's here and look at the chat. Sweet, we're all good. So you're gonna need Visual Studio. This isn't a tutorial on how to get Visual Studio. You don't want Visual Studio Code. Go away. You're gonna need Visual Studio 2019, visualstudio.com, link of how to install. Yep, precisely. Thank you for that, Brandon. Yeah, you're gonna need it. You're not gonna get very far without it. Please don't try and write C# in Visual Studio Code. It does work. It just doesn't work very well. This has got 10 viewers on it concurrently. Hello to everyone. So for this example project, I'm just going to be creating a simple console application, and it's going to be a Magic 8 Ball. So yeah, pretty much. So I'm going to create a new project. It's going to be a console app. No, I'm not doing it. I'm going to be in C# today. And just click next. I'm just going to pop this in where I store all my stuff. Visual Studio Projects. And I'm going to call it YouTube Live Magic 8 Ball. And this is going to be a basic game. And the way that I create this is sort of similar to how games are created, I suppose. So, yeah, let me just make that a bit bigger for you guys. Don't know if you can see it or not. Hopefully you're all good. However, this is how a program starts off, more or less. It's very, very easy in a way. I don't know why my bitrate's so low. It's really annoying me, actually. See if turning that off will get anything. Hang on a minute. This is really annoying. I don't know why it's sending so little bitrate, but heck, I don't know. Oh well. If it's fine, then I'm not too bothered. Okay, so yeah, so this is how every program starts off, or every console application starts off. You can see if I now click play, from the get-go, it will run. And then it will crash immediately because it runs out of code. But if I start without debugging, hey Simi, you're alright, you get hello world straight up. So it works straight away. So this should give you an idea of basically how the format of C# should be in. So normally you'll have a namespace, some places don't, but I have never had to not have a namespace. Then you have a class. Sometimes that class will have a modifier, accessibility modifier on it, such as public. Although I tend to keep a lot of mine internal, but not for the program class. And then you'll have a method or a function. I call them methods. They're called methods in C#. They're called functions in JavaScript and other things like that. But still, this is a method. So we're going to use this method, and we're going to initialize a loop, which is going to call several other methods. Now, this is going to be a pretty fully featured thing, and I'll kind of develop it as we go on. Although, yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to initialize a loop. Okay, so I'm going to teach you about loops. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to do while true. I can't spell. Why is it always when I'm on stream I can never spell? Anyway, so while true, and that is a loop that will go on forever. So if I now type in console.writeLine, hello, you'll notice that when I build and run this, you're going to get millions of hellos. Helps if the window focuses, so you can see how quickly that's going. So yeah, that is a loop, more or less. Pretty useless on its own, but when we pair it with some functions, it'll be all good. So the first function I'm going to create is I'm going to do wait for. Actually, let's do process. No, static string get input. And then we'll do static void randomize color. Have to spell everything the American way, because that's how it should be done in programming. Annoyingly, I don't like that, but still. Then you're gonna have some red lines pop up. Ignore them. Then we'll do. No, actually, we'll do it differently. We'll do. We'll do static void get input. Static void static string get random response, and then static void print random print response, and we're going to have that have an argument of string response, and then we'll have static void randomize color. Perfect. So those are the 4 methods that we're going to be using for the start of this. That's it really. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to get the input. Actually, yeah, we'll get the input. So we're just going to write get input, and that's going to call that method. So it will light up here, whereas these are a little bit greyed out. You may not be able to make it out, but they are. It's going to call this, so it's going to send the code. So think of my mouse as where the code's executing. So at the moment it's going to go while, it's just going to loop. And it's going to come down here, call get input, find it there, and it'll run whatever's between these 2 curly brackets. Now, so I want to capture an input. So I'm going to create a variable, or a member in normal classes. I'm going to call it we'll call it user question. And it's going to be of type string, and I'll assign it its default value of string.empty. A lot of people use null. I prefer string.empty because it will stop crashing. But it's a bit further down the line. Okay. So we'll get the input from the console, and to be fair, we should probably introduce the program. So if we just do console.writeLine, which will write a line of text to the console and say, hello from Max's Magic 8-Ball. And there's a load of other properties you can set in console, such as the title of the console, which is the text that will appear in the menu bar. I'm just going to set that as Magic 8-Ball, 89-Ball, by Max Playo, live on YouTube. And you'll notice now that when I start this up, oh, hang on. Let me just comment this out for a minute. Don't worry about what that means. You're going to find that when I open up this window, you're going to get hello from Max's Magic 8-Ball, Magic 8-Ball by Max Plow, live on YouTube. So the title string is being displayed in the title bar, and obviously the line has been written to. So you don't need to run it there. I just had to comment that out to stop the compile time error. But yeah, so more or less, that's that. So the first thing we're going to call is get input. And then we're going to devise the random response. And I'm not going to return a string here. I'm just going to make this a void. And then I'm going to create another member called random response. Actually, no, we'll make this a bit better. We'll leave the get random response out for a little while. Now, we'll come back to that later. And then we will print the response. And then we're going to give that user response. And then we'll create another static string. I don't know why I called this user response. We'll just call it response. And then we'll just assign that string.empty. However, we're going to come back to give that a value in a minute. Just give me a second. So, but after that, before we print the response, we're going to randomize the color. So, yeah, that's pretty much the loop we're going to get. So, first of all, in the get input, so I want to take in an input from the user. So I'm going to console.writeLine, ask the Magic 8, a question. And then adding a space behind the question will make it very easy. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. It always happens when I'm on stream. It's really annoying. So console.writeLine, ask the Magic 8-Ball a question. Now all that's going to do at the moment is it's just going to print that millions of times. I don't know why my window always minimizes. Because there's no user input required for it. So let's create that. So let's get the user input. So we're going to take an input of a string because that's what you input on a console normally, and it's easiest to deal with. So let's go string user. Actually, yeah, string response equals console.readLine. Now what that's going to do is it's going to wait for the user to type a line of text like hello world, and then it's going to continue when you press enter. So you're going to see it looping further and further. At the moment, obviously, because there's nothing in these aren't going to do anything. But ordinarily they would. So now we've captured the response. Let's quickly just prove that it. Oop, I don't know what's going on with Visual Studio now. Visual Studio, especially on the latest builds, has been a little bit buggy, and I find myself restarting it an awful lot. Brandon, Barber_crew in the chat, he will tell you how frustrated I get over Visual Studio. I personally really don't like it, although there isn't many alternatives. So I'll just restart it just here. So let's just prove that we got a user's input. So we'll do console.writeLine response. So we're writing the contents of response, this object here that we created. We're writing the contents of that, which is console.readLine, so it's whatever the user types into the console, out onto the console again. So that's pretty much that. So as we can see here is, for some reason I always lose my windows. Hello world. So hello world, I haven't made that very obvious. So let's just add in front of it, you typed, can't spell today. God, my bottle is noisy. Right. So when I run this, I'm just going to go, hello. You typed hello. So yeah. So if I want to use this in another method, say here, I can't just type in response. Or apparently I can for some. Oh, yeah. That's because I added one up here. But okay, so in this one here, I can't just type in response because it won't recognize it. So if I were to do that same thing here, console.writeLine, you typed plus response, it would error because it doesn't work, because it cannot be accessed in an area where it's not been declared. So if I want to use that here, I'd have to assign a variable, in this case user question, to the value of response. So very quickly, all I'd have to do is do user question equals response. Simple. Or I could just straight up do user response, or user question, sorry, equals console.readLine. And the reason there's no string in front of this is because the string has already, the object string has already been initialized. For those of you who've used JavaScript, you might realize that you can't use var or let in, you may be able to use it in here. I've never used it personally. No, you can't. you have to use var in C#, and you can only use it inside of a method. Okay, so right now we're setting user question to the user's question, more or less. And what we're going to do with that question? So nothing really at the moment. So that is it done for the get input, because we get the input and we've got the user question stored in the application under user question. So now we're going to want to get the response, but we can always do a random one. But that will be no fun. So, what I will do is I'm just going to move. I'm going to reposition these. That was just cut and paste, and you're right, Zips Up. Doing some basic C#, because why not? So we'll randomize the color first, and here's where it gets a little bit involved. We've got enums. Okay, so an enum is short for enumeration. You can create custom enums. For example, public enum hello. Hello equals 1. Bon, however you spell that, is 2. Hello equals 3, which I believe is German for hello, but I can't really remember. Etc. You can create your own ones, but Microsoft do bundle in a couple of them which are relevant to their own software. So we're going to be taking a look at console.foreground color. Now that is the console.foreground color always contains a value. that is the color of the text in the console. Pretty simple. You can't really mistake it. Now we can either get this, for example, by doing console.foreground color, and then we can get the color of the console. Sure, happy to see you making that video. You should be helping people make mods themselves. I don't help people make mods themselves because normally my code gets stolen. Um, I don't tend to care when it's a Magic 8 Ball, you know what I mean? So we're going to see now that it's grey because this text is grey. It might look white to you guys, but it's grey. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's always console.foreground color always contains the foremost color of this. So we can also set that. So if I type console.foreground color equals console color.green. Now console color is the enumeration. If you hold control and click on this, you can see all of the different enumerations here. And perfect. That's all you need, really, isn't it? So once you've done that, that was just a control tab, but that works for other applications, so I'm not going to go there. So for example, this will turn the color green, but we're supposed to be randomizing it, which we're not actually doing at the moment. Excuse me. So you're going to see it's going to be green. Not what we want. So you can come into console color and you can see that every word here, if I just expand these comments, all it's going to be is the color, the color, the color. So all of these words, for example, green is 10. They've got a number value, which is what the enumeration is. It gives words a number value. So now instead of, for example, if I wanted to use cyan, instead of doing console color 11, I could just do console color.cyan. Pretty simple. Now, getting random numbers from an enumeration alone is a little bit more involved. It involves doing some work with the type. I'm not going to get into that in this stream. I am, however, going to note down that this enumeration here, the console color one under the system namespace, contains 15 values. Black is 0 and white is 15. So you can make a comment here by just double tapping the / key. 15 values. Black is 0. White is 15. And if you want to make a multi-line comment, tap it 3 times, and it will, when you press enter, it will generate 3 more for you. And if you want a block quote, make a / and then an asterisk, and then vice versa on the other side, and it will be. But make sure you put one there, else it will all be a comment. This looks confusing. It can be, although my best advice, honestly, completely what I did. I've never had any formal training on any type of development, so all you got to do is have at it if you want to get involved with it, and just make some random crap that no one's ever going to use. I never released an application until I've been developing for about 8-9 years. Section 136 was my first proper release of anything. So yeah, and I've been developing for a long time now, and I've never released anything. So I'm not saying you're gonna have to wait that long. But definitely do make sure that you're ready to release something. Don't release something that you're not proud of, because it will likely go tits up. Right, so back to this. So it's 15 values. So if I were to get a random number between 0 and 15, that would match up to a value of console color, right? Well, yes, exactly. So to do this, I'm going to create a new type of the random, a new instance, sorry, of the random type. Now, random is included in C#. You don't need external dependencies or anything, and you got to create a object called random. I'm just going to call it RND, and you'll see a lot of that in programming. A lot of things will be cut. The instance name will be a lot like a shortened down version of the type. So random RND, and then you're going to assign that to new random. Okay, that's going to do that, and perfect. So now I can initialize a new object of type integer by just typing int selected, equals rnd dot next, and I want to generate the next random number, but this random number must be between 0 and 15. Oh, 51. 15. So all that's doing is it's creating a new object of type integer, calling it selected, and it's making it equal to the next random number of the random object, but it must be between 0 and 15, and it's inclusive as well. So all we can do now is we can do console.foreground color equals, and you could do stuff like console color.pass, clearly not in this instance, but in certainly other enumerations you could do it. But the easiest way to do it is just to cast it to console color, and casting something is as simple as putting the type or the enum's type name in brackets just before your value, and perfect. That will work just fine, I'd hope. So let me build. Oh, sorry, debug. Start with that debugging, and you should see now. Hello. So you should see that every time we get a different thing. Now I did notice up here you can see how this. Oops, you can see that this text is invisible. That's because it's the same color as the back one. So what I would also implement is I would implement a quick thing that says we'll do an int current back color equals console.background color, and we'll just do int. I think that should cast. Oh my god, what am I doing? Ugh, there we go. That should cast. There we go. And then I will make sure that if selected equals current back color, and then I'm going to create a label which just is select random number, and that's just that. You can name it anything, and then you can just do go to select random number, bearing in mind that is a colon on the end of that and not a semicolon. If there's any questions, just pop them in the chat and I'll go over it. But basically what that should ensure now is that you don't get whatever colour is on the back of the console. So yeah, more or less. It's not happened yet, is it? You get some pretty incompatible colours, for instance that one. But I didn't tell it to avoid that. I told it to not give me the same colour. So yeah, you've not got any of those invisible ones yet, have you? So random colour. Perfect. Yeah. So that's the randomized color function done. So right now we've got the input, we've randomized the color, and now we're going to print the response. Now ordinarily, I would just do it so you would just do console.writeLine and then you get a random from a list. But I'm going to do something completely different. This one's a little bit more advanced. You guys might get a bit confused, especially if this is the first C# project. Those of you who have done stuff before in C#, you should be alright with this. But we're going to set access modifiers. Now, ordinarily people might think of access modifiers as the public thing that's on the thing of this, which will determine where it can be accessed. That's not all access modifiers do. Basically, I can add here, I can tell it where can set it and where can get the value. So if I were to do get set, it's because I've put an equal sign here by accident. Get set, that would allow anywhere within the application to get or set that variable, that response. If I were to give it private set, any other class could get the value, although it couldn't set it. If I were to, that's because, ignore that red line, that's because of the class that we're in. If I were to get it, that would mean that you cannot set response whatsoever. Now here's where it gets a bit more interesting. So you can give it instructions on how to set it, how to get it, sorry. And then all that takes is a new return value. So if I were to be like, hello, there we go. A new return value, it would just return hello. So no matter what the value you thought was, it would always be hello. And you can't set it either. So if I were to come into here and go response equals hello from the other side, Shout out to the British people in this chat. It's likely going to give you an error because there you go. See, it can't. This property or indexer program.response programs the class wherein response is the name of the member cannot be assigned to because it's read only. If I was to add set to this, for example, it would allow you to do it, and you'd also see that hello from the other side would get printed every loop, if that makes sense. Hello from the other side. Because when you set it, it would console right line the value of it. However, we don't want to set it, so we're gonna get rid of that set thing, and we're just gonna keep the get. And to make it a bit easier for you, I'm just gonna do that. So you can see the get instructions are between these brackets. Now I'm gonna create what's known as a list. Actually, no, I'm gonna create an array. So I'm gonna create a static string, and then how you define it as an array is by adding 2 square brackets on the end. And you can add a number in here to designate the length of it, but I wouldn't for this purpose. And I'm going to call this potential responses. And then, to give it a value, you have to give it an array value. And that means opening up 2 curly brackets. Now, silly me being as prepared as always, totally forgot to get the to get all of the potential Magic 8 Ball responses. Perfect. So I've now got a list of the Magic 8 Ball responses. So all you've got to do is you've got to add each one into this array and then add a comma on the end. So it's all going to be a string. As I see it. Yes. Ask again later. Better not tell you now. Cannot predict now. It's mostly the same. Concentrate and ask again. Don't count on it. It is certain. It is decidedly so. Most likely. Whoops. My reply is no. My sources say no. Outlook not so good. Outlook good. Reply hazy, try it again. Whoops, don't trim that. Signs point to yes. Very doubtful. Without a doubt. Yes. Yes, definitely. And you may rely on it. So those are all of the possible Magic 8 Ball messages from most of the Magic 8 Balls. So what's good about this is you can store multiple strings in one object. And to reference these, all you'd have to do, is do potential responses and then open that square brackets again and do 4. Now remembering that programs count up from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So concentrate and ask again. Basically, if I were to If I were to console.writeline that alone, potential response is 4. You will get the same response over and over and over again. Which is a little bit pointless, but don't get me wrong. So concentrate and ask again. Loads of times. However, we don't want to do that. So what I am going to do is I'm going to make it... and I'm going to rename this. Hit Control-R twice to rename something, by the way. And I'm going to name it response in. So I'm going to print response in. Okay, so no matter what response in is, we're going to console.writeline the value of response in. Excuse me. And up here, as you can see, we're printing response, and then the value of response in. If I just collapse these for a second. So the value of response in here will be whatever you put in between the the brackets. So response, whatever response is going to get printed here. So at the moment, that's going to be hello. Because, well, hello. So you're going to get hello every time. However, what if we were to make it a random of this? Which is very easy to do. Very easy to do. Okay. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get a new random. So we're going to create another object, random RND equals new random. Or in fact, you could also create it up here, static random equals new random. And then you could do int selected equals random dot next between 0, and then we're going to pass potential responses dot length. Now what that means is potential responses is this object here. Ignore that red line, that's because we're not giving it anything. And it's going to see how many strings are in here. And the amount of strings are in here is the length. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there's 20 responses. So that length is going to be 20. Now the problem is if it sends 20, it's going to cause a crash. Because we're counting from 1. We're not counting from 1. Whereas this will count from 1. This length will count from 1. So the way we counteract that is just by adding a -1 on the end there. So if it detects 20, it's not going to do it, but we're going to take away 1, so it's 19. Bearing in mind this is 0, this isn't going to be 20, it's 19. Okay, so once we've done that, we can just return potential strings at the index of selected. So we've created an integer of selected, we've set it to that, and then we're returning potential responses as selected. Now, if you wanted to be extra smart about it, you wouldn't need that selected object. I personally opt to make it in most of my programs just because it tidies the code up a little bit. However, if you wanted to do that, that is completely fine as well. Someone's unliked the video. How rude is that? Anyway. That's extremely rude. I'm bitterly offended at their pure rudeness. Anyway, so you can now have any amount of responses, and you're going to get a random response no matter what you type. Now, so here we go. So, the first question I'm honestly going to ask it is, will I be single on Valentine's Day? It's probably going to say yes, and bearing in mind Valentine's Day is in like 2 days. My reply is, okay, that's awkward. My reply is no. The problem we now have is the fact that it's green. And we don't want this text here that we type to be green. So the way we do that is by underneath here, after we print the response, we're going to console.resetColor. And once you do that, it's going to set everything back to the default. Simple. So, hello. Now I think it's going to be green because for some reason my screen text is now set to green. But if I change it back, there we go. Hello world. It's going to be set to green again. Of course it is. I don't want it green. Let's just go defaults. Defaults, you. Oh, was that the screen text? Whoopsie. Give me a sec. Screen background? No, I want you blue. I want you a lower blue, really, don't I? But, you know, whatever. Oh. Whoops. That will do. Cool. You know, I just want this to restart because the text color being green is really... Oh, it keeps doing it. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do console.foreground color equals console.gray. Sorry, this is just to be slightly less annoying. Perfect, there we go. So now we're going to get that, and it's going to go back to green. Not because there's an issue with it, No, but what we could do to counteract that is we could just replace this reset color. Normally that would work, but it's because I've been using this terminal before. It's got a bit funny. But yeah. So now we're going to reset it to grey every time we finish answering a question. So will Lenny be administrator of the year in Max's Hangout? Reply hazy, try again. As you can see, it's gone back to grey, as you would expect. Now, if I wanted to do, is Brandon cool? It comes up with an answer you can't really read because of the colour, but it does say my reply is no. My reply is no, my reply is no. Sorry, you know my program when I say no all the time. Am I cool? My sources say no. Okay, fair enough, yeah, it's not wrong. Is Brandon the best admin? Without a doubt. Right, it's broken. Right, we've got to restart. Jokes aside, we all know it's working now. So yeah. Now, if I wanted to add a little exit command, so if I wanted to add an exit command, I would come down to get input, and then what I would do is if user question and we'll make it lowercase so it's case insensitive, and then we'll say if it contains exit, we'll break the I would say break the loop, but that's not really going to work because we're not actually running it in the loop. You can do environment.exit with exit code 0 to indicate a successful exit. Is GTA playable with mods? Yes, but no script hook at the moment. You would have to use the I can't remember what it's called. You'd have to use the utility it converts it to a UASI, and I can't remember what that's called, like Rage ASI Loader or something. But it's not as stable as regular Scripthook 5, mind. So you're gonna want to wait for Scripthook. So let's get back to this anyway. So what's going to happen now is if I type hello, if I type is Brandon cool? I swear to God, if it says yes again, better not tell you now. That's better. Am I cool? Very doubtful. Well, no, not Trainer 5. You need Scripthook to run Trainer 5. If Lenny's in here, he'll tell you. I've forgotten what it's called. Hang on, I'll Google it. GTA 5 UASI. Oh, it's just called ASI support for Rage plugin hook. Yeah, it's by a guy named Pursuit. If I pop the link in chat, you can use this. I wouldn't recommend it though. It's not the best. But yeah, if you're dying to play, then use that. If not, then don't. But do what you want, really. Yeah. So, but I've typed in loads of questions. These are my questions, and as you can see, it's answering. But if I type exit, it's going to exit, and it doesn't close the window because I'm running in a debugging environment. Although it does say press this keys to close the window. So as you can see, because it contains exit, it will have exited. Now, if anybody following this has any questions, pop them in the chat now, or just say I don't have any questions, so I know you're not all asleep. Because who knows? I don't know what's going on with YouTube today, by the way. I honestly have no clue. I assume it's something to do with the fact that my streaming software is set up for Twitch. But can't really tell you. Because I don't know. No questions? Everyone got that. So more or less that is the Magic 8 Ball completed. There's nothing else that really needs to, be there really, is there? Almost asleep. Wow. Cheers, Brandon. But yeah, so that was an entire Magic 8 Ball in 98 lines of code. It's not difficult, is it? And if you want to take this knowledge, you can very well use it to create something advanced. Please practice first. Please don't go creating cool app packs. However, since we're here, it's going to open loads of windows because I've been doing loads of stuff. As you can see, this sort of stuff can be used to do all sorts. Now, I'm not showing you any more code. You can't actually make a call-out pack with this code alone, so copy it all you want. But considering it won't even compile on its own without other methods and things. But yeah, as you can see, you can create all sorts of C# and, you know, Discord bots. Obviously, but you can see the amount of work that's gone into this with all the classes. Like, these are all separate classes where we only wrote one just then. Other stuff that I might be able to show you. I can show you the bot. So, the bot, same thing. Pretty much an array, but it's a list, so I can add and remove from it at runtime. But, there you go. That's the divorce command for my bot. So all of this stuff can be used to do pretty much anything you want it to, with relative ease. Now, yes. So yeah, that's about the stream, really, to be honest. I mean, if you guys want me to put the code on GitHub, I don't mind doing that. I'll do that now. YouTube Magic 8 Ball. I'll do is I'll publish. Don't worry about this part. You guys don't need to worry about this part because you're not going to be doing it. But let me create a repository. Cool. Yep. Oh god. Live Magic 8 Ball. And let's not make it private. The Magic 8 Ball I created live on YouTube on the 12th of February 2021. Beginner's code. And I'm going to create and push all that. So as Brandon has just put it in the chat. Whoops. Whoops, didn't mean to do it. GitHub.com, maxplayer04. And if you come over to my profile, and just by clicking on that link, and then click on repositories, you won't see as many of these. However, you should see in a moment, I don't know where, YouTube Live Magic 8 Ball. But honestly, I don't know where it's going to be. Okay, maybe I didn't push it. What's going on here? Oh, I know why. I didn't push them. So, there we go. YouTube Live Magic 8 Ball. So I'll stick the link for that in the chat. So you guys can go ahead and take a look at the code if you really want to. Very simple application. I would highly recommend writing one. And even if that's just by copying it and then getting it to work, understanding how it works, and then once you've understood it, try and make your own one. That's also what I would suggest. But other than that, have at it. Do what you want with it. Really, it's your code to play with. Because I'm honestly not going to use that again. So yeah. So that will just about be it. That video was a lot. This stream was a lot easier to make than recording a video and editing it. So if you did enjoy this stream and you want streams like this, go ahead and leave me a like and leave me a sub. And heck, if you want to buy me a Monster Energy, there's a link in the description for that as well. I think there might be. I can't really remember if there is, to be completely honest with you. There is not. So yeah, let's not use any of them. Page returns 404. Have I made that? I bet you have made that private. Yes, I have. That's why. Give me a second. Make public. And I've got to type my password in. So that should now be public for you guys to see. There you go. Let me grab that. Oops, that's not a link. So yeah, if you want to buy me Monster Energy, head down into the description and pledge there. But otherwise, I'm going to end the stream here. If you have enjoyed it, be sure to hit that thumbs up. I've only got 3 likes, and I did have 4, and I'm not happy about that. There's 4 people watching, so come on, one of you can like it. I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can manage it. But otherwise, yeah, hope you